My name's Scott and I'm here today to share my journey with alcohol. So I think it was always just ingrained in me. It was like when you're an adult, you have a drink. And then as I got a bit older and 15, 16 and my friends and you start experimenting with alcohol. And I think as a kid, I was always a pretty awkward kid. I had a lot of friends. I was quite a popular kid, but I never felt like I fitted in with anyone. And I always felt like a bit of an outcast. And I think alcohol loosened me up. And I actually lost a friend. One of my best friends passed away quite tragically. I think that was when it took a bit of a turn for me, when I started to use alcohol more as a coping mechanism than a fun thing. 2015, I got a job as a shift worker, and that was when things really changed for me physically. I think I started to get sick more constantly, and I was getting like some pretty bad, like chest infections and things that I'd never gotten before. So I went to the doctor and I just asked for a blood test. I just thought, I want to see what's going on. And we got the blood test results and my cholesterol was through the roof. And he basically said to me, the markers are heart attack or stroke markers. He said, like, you really need to sort yourself out. And then I said, this is the first time I'd ever said this to someone properly, I think alcohol might be a problem for me. I think I might be drinking too much. And I remember it distinctly, he literally leapt out of his chair and got the door and said, okay, well, if that's something that you think you need to deal with, then off you go, go deal with it, and I'll see you back here in 3 months and we'll do another blood test. I walked out into the car park and I remember saying to myself, that's the first time I've said that to someone, and he didn't really want to hear it. She probably was busy, he probably just wasn't thinking about it, but it really affected me. It made me think, someone else might have taken that as a cue to not worry about that, to go, oh, well, I mentioned alcohol, doctor wasn't interested, so maybe that's not the problem. And that was sort of where I said, I've got to have to take this on myself. I'm going to have to take responsibility for this. And I remember at the time I didn't make a big deal about it because I didn't want that to be it. Because to them on the outside, it didn't seem like I had a problem. I wasn't one of those people who was tripping over my feet and, like starting fights and getting in, to them, they didn't think that I drank that much. I think today in 2025, we've discovered, I think, that it comes in so many shapes and sizes. And there's what they call that grey area drinking, where you've got people that might not be, necessarily even drinking too much, but their relationship with alcohol is not healthy. And that's where I think I never had a physical dependence on alcohol. I think it was always an emotional dependence. Honestly, turning 40, I've never felt better. And I said 40 to me is like being in my 20s again. I feel young, I feel active, I feel I've got energy. And I think when you cut something out of your life that's causing you to hold everything back, the things that are important start to flow naturally. And I found that when I stopped alcohol, I started sleeping. When I started sleeping, I started to eat better. And when I started to eat better, I started to exercise and started to feel more active. And I felt that those things just flow into each other.